And I have never separated my work as an artist from my work as a human being. I've always put it even more strongly, that to me, my art is always a weapon. It's got to be good art. Othello was a weapon in racial relations, or at least showing that we can do some things too. I played football. My father explained to me that, well, if a fella hit me, I couldn't hit him back because they'd say we were bad and savage. So I had to stand and be knocked all around. I had to do well in my studies. So I've never been able to divorce one thing from the other. And luckily, I don't sing the kind of songs that you're here and you hit the high B flat and the high this and the high that. I sing songs that express very much the emotions of different peoples, like the Welsh, the Scotch, the Negro, Chinese, Russian, and so forth.
On his way to Moscow in 1934, he attempted to catch up with Jewish friends on a layover in Berlin, where he was disturbed at fascism's rise in the 5 years since he last visited. Robeson received a warm welcome and packed theaters upon arriving in the Soviet Union. Robeson regularly commented,
"For the first time as I stepped on Soviet soil, I felt myself a full human being."
If we were free in the South tomorrow to carry our weight, to vote and to everything, would we now look around and try to find the 10 billionaires among our people? Would we attempt to build them up, or would we try to answer the needs of the great millions of our people? I do not believe that a few people should control the wealth of any land, but it should be a collective ownership in the interest of all.
Is that a democratic socialism, or?
It would have to be a democratic socialism. There are many ways, however, to struggle toward democracy. And so I see other ways of life, socialism, as trying to solve the problems of millions and tens of millions of peoples at once, in a way, instead of we would start from the individual to the masses.
Following a mass lynching and frustrated with the NAACP, Robeson used his platform to call for anti-lynching legislation, including a direct confrontational meeting with President Truman. At this point, he became seen as an enemy and subversive by the state, with his first Senate summons in 1948.
Are you an American communist?
19 or more, and many of some of the most brilliant and distinguished Americans are about to go to jail for failure to answer that question, and I'm going to join them if necessary. I refuse to answer the question.
You refuse to answer. What's your definition of fascist?
I would say, to me, the essence of fascism in two things. Let's take the more obvious one first. Racial superiority. But the most important thing, which is the reason this can be, is the power of the resources of a nation in the hands of the few, and the use of the state power, as Hitler or Mussolini or the police in Kansas City, to beat down any attempt to strive toward any kind of democratic rights or freedoms.
Even though that be law enforcement?
We find always that law enforcement in this case is the protection of the property of the few people who are the potential of fascism.
The reason I'm here today, from the mouth of the State Department itself, is I should not be allowed to travel because I have struggled for the independence of the colonial peoples of Africa. The other reason I'm here today, again, from the State Department and from the record of the Court of Appeals, is that when I am abroad, I speak out against injustices against the Negro people in this land. That is why I'm here. I'm not being tried for whether I'm a communist. I'm being tried for fighting for the rights of my people.
Suddenly, on the night of March 26, in the context of a unscheduled and suspicious wild party in his quarters, which he locked himself away from in an inner room, he was discovered the next morning with his wrists slashed. So my suspicion was that he was drugged at the party with probably LSD, because he hallucinated immensely, and in a day and a half he was more or less back to normal, which is the symptoms of LSD. Somehow he was signed into the priory by a doctor whom I subsequently interviewed and am very suspicious of. So he landed in the prior under strange circumstances. There he got 54 electroshock treatments without my knowledge. They convinced my mother, who was then, beginning to die of cancer, that his only hope was electroshock, that I was all upset, etc., etc. Anyway, they convinced her to give him to sign off on the shock treatments and not tell me.
Robeson was brain damaged, and his wife soon died of cancer. He lived the last 10 years of his life in his son's home with very little verbal initiative.
Guns to kill a man, says Joe, I didn't die.